Doma Sports Talk worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Well, in the time when ain't no boxing popping off, right? You reflecting on things. And with no further ado, you reflecting on Floyd Mayweather, right? Floyd Mayweather Jr. He calls himself TBE, the best ever. And you know what? After further review, you're damn right. That's exactly what he should be saying about himself, and most of us should be saying that about him, right? As we put the arguably in front of it. You better have a good one. Like I got Lennox Lewis, against anybody, in terms of the greatest ever, in terms of his resume and beating everybody and things like that. But Floyd Mayweather retired 50-0, and a lot of times, the detractors, if you're a detractor, a Floyd Mayweather detractor, you didn't like him or whatever, then don't review his fights, and definitely not the lead up to the fights, because then what you will find there is the significance of those who he was fighting, right? All these things we hear that Floyd Mayweather, picked his opponents and stuff like that. Hogwash, bullocks, ridiculous. Whatever you are on the planet, that's ridiculous. There's not too many people that Floyd Mayweather didn't fight, right? And the ones that you say he didn't fight are huge dudes. If he's the dude starting at 130 pounds, you might have somebody like Paul Williams or Sergio Martinez or something that's at 154, even 160 pounds, right? Stuff like that. Or Golovkin, just ridiculous stuff. And people who don't really give a damn, hey, he didn't fight Klitschko, right? Just ridiculous stuff. From 147 to one to one from 130 to 130 to 47, pretty much everybody, legends, and we're talking about Floyd Mayweather fought at least beat at least in my opinion about 10 Hall of Famers. Now I think it's officially like 6 or 7 Hall of Famers, but there's a couple of them that I'm not sure if they're in the Hall of Fame or not. Awesome. So this video might take a little time. Then we ain't gonna have no pictures and all that. You know how we do it. We're just gonna try to go through it real quick. Now Floyd Mayweather had his first 17 fights, like everybody else. What he started about October 96 or something like that, till about October 98. He had fought like every 2 months, and sometimes even less than that, because see, he had 17 fights in that span, right? And he took care of those people like everyone else, building up. In his 18th fight, he was already fighting for the title. Now, let me tell you something. His first title match was against Gennaro Hernandez, and at that time, this guy is 38-1-1. He had the WBC title, which he defended 3 times, and before that had the WBA title, which he defended 9 times. Right? Wins over Azuma Nelson. Right? Anybody that's got a little age on them know who that is. He beat Carlos Hernandez, Jireno, Jorge Paez, things like that. And those names, when I say Jireno, you're gonna be like, who is that? Carlos Hernandez. These are fighters who did things before. In that era, were the people you needed to beat, right? This guy was nothing less. He's a homeboy, fought in Inglewood at the Forum all the time, right? South Central LA dude, Gennaro Hernandez, and I think that this is he probably is a Hall of Famer. I'm not sure about that. Didn't check that, but he's definitely could have been. Well, Floyd took him out and made him quit, and him and his brother and them, they quit at about round 9 because Floyd was just whitewashing him, and he wasn't really supposed to win that fight right there. That's the 18th fight. That's when he got the title, right? After that, he fought Angel Manfredi after that. At the time, Manfredi was 25-2. This is El Diablo we talking about, right? This guy who stopped Arturo Gatti, Jorge Paez, and those 2 losses was when we fought Floyd Mayweather. He was 25-2, right? His loss was in his first fight and his 6th fight. After that, that guy went on a 18-fight win streak and KO'd 16 of them. Floyd Mayweather was probably the slight favorite in that, but Angel Manfredi was supposed to be in that fight. And somebody Floyd, had to be very, very careful of. He stopped my man. They stopped the fight because he was, wasn't throwing no punches back, right? So that's when he got another title with that. I'm not sure what that is because he won the WBC from Gennaro Hernandez. I'm not sure what Angel Manfredi had, but think about that. Those are 2 hard fights. After that, he fought a guy 44-2, right? Now this guy Carlos Rios, no notable wins, but 44-2, right? And I can tell you a loss. He lost to Celino Freitas, And at that time, Freitas is somebody you ain't messing with. 'Cause I think he was about 27-0 with 27 knockouts, something ridiculous, right? So he had a loss to that guy. But other than that, 44-2-1. And after Gennaro Hernandez and Manfredi, you fight Carlos Rios, 44-2. Think about that. After that, he had a dude who stood in, Justin Yuko, 33-2-1, right? Now, this is one of the fighters, Justin Yuko. Remember that guy because this is the guy that came off a loss, right? Came off a loss. Now, when you talk Floyd Mayweather, this is probably the only fighter that's going to be on his resume, and even that early in his career, that came off a loss, right? But this still was a Commonwealth champion, super featherweight champion, intercontinental super featherweight champion, stuff like that. And he had beat a guy that was undefeated before he had that loss. So, it's not a hard look, but it's still 33-2. You know what I mean? Early, after you just had beaten Hernandez and Manfredi, then you fought Carlos Rios with 44-2, then you fight a guy 33-2. So I don't know. Then after that, Carlos Gerena. That's who we was mentioning earlier, right? And he had lost to Gennaro Hernandez as well. But he was the WBC Continental Champ, right? 34-2. There you have it, right? That's a guy like that after that. So after that, he fought a guy named Gregorio Vargas, 40-6. And this guy's had losses. He had losses to he wasn't stopped before, but he had losses to Carlos Hernandez and Kevin Kelly, Joe and John Molina, stuff like that, right? But he beat an 18-year-old guy named Ben Tacky, right? Drop me a few notes down. So this guy here was kind of formidable, even though he wasn't had a good record. But when the dudes he lost to were guys that were definitely relevant at the time, 40-6, right? Letting you know. So that's a guy right there, another guy that wasn't all that bad. Think about it. Oh, I'm cherry picking and this and that. Not that bad. And he followed that up, he's still in that super featherweight division. Followed that up with a guy that's 22-16, right? And 4. Now I'm just gonna go on. His name is Emmanuel Augustus. Emmanuel Augustus, right now, I'm gonna tell you I'm just gonna go like this. I think he's probably one of the best journeymen in the history of the sport, right? Emmanuel Augustus is somebody that probably gonna lose the fight. You're going to want to go see that fight because it's going to be entertainment, pure entertainment. This guy here has a lot of skills. It's a very, very funny thing. I would encourage anybody to go. I'm saying Emmanuel Augustus. You go and put him in YouTube somewhere and just watch what he does in the ring. It's ridiculous. You're talking about the drunken master and stuff like that in the ring. This guy is a trip. Now let me just tell you about this guy too. If you ask Floyd Mayweather what's his toughest fight, top 5 toughest fights, this name is going to occur. And at the time, he was 22-16. Think about that. His name is going to occur. And they ask a whole lot of other people who their toughest fight is. And this name is going to always come up. Emmanuel Augustus, one of the toughest guys Floyd ever had to deal with, right? Now, I'm just going to say, so after that, right after Augustus, then he fights Diego Corrales. Now, this is a Hall of Famer. Diego Corrales, I really don't have to talk about at all. He was 33-0 at the time, and he was the favorite to beat Floyd Mayweather, right? IBF super featherweight. He beat Manfredi, he beat Gainer, he beat undefeated Robert Garcia, right? Yeah, the big brother of Mikey. Beat him. Had 2 fights with Casamaya, who everybody knows was the bomb. And when he was 30-1, he beat him once and got beat by Casamaya. Took the O from that guy I was telling you about, Acelino Freitas, right? When he was 35-0, he took that O, okay, from him. He had 2 fights with Castillo, who we're gonna get to in a minute, and he won one of them, lost one. This is Diego Corrales we talking about, guys. This guy, this is probably one of Floyd's biggest fights at the time to go up there and deal with Diego Corrales. He beat him, made them throw in the towel, basically. That was awesome to beat a Hall of Famer like that. After that, go on and fight 33-2 Carlos Hernandez, which have been stopped. This guy's never been stopped. I've been talking about him, right? He's never been stopped. He was 33-2, never stopped. And who did he fight? He fought Morales. He fought Kevin Kelly. He fought Jesus Chavez and Gennaro Hernandez, right? So this guy is, with all those guys, never been stopped, 33-2. Floyd takes him out. Didn't stop him, but beat him convincingly. Then Jesus Chavez after that. A guy 35-1, right? Beat Juan Arias, who was 33-1, this guy, right? And Jesus Chavez, somebody we probably don't even really know, but he was 35-1. That's who Floyd fights after Diego Corrales and Hernandez. See what I'm saying? Then he moves up to 135 and tries to mess with Jose Luis Castillo. Now Castillo is the guy who anybody who they say Floyd Mayweather lost the fight is Castillo. That's who he lost the fight to. Castillo. Now Floyd Mayweather had a close fight with Castillo, won the fight. People on that night, like it always is, people were thinking that Floyd lost. They went back, even the people who's not Floyd fans went back and looked at it. Most of them were thinking that Floyd won that fight, even though it was close. And here's something too you have to note about Floyd Mayweather. In that close fight there, Floyd Mayweather's shoulder was messed up after round one. And he fought 11 rounds with this guy with a messed up shoulder and still nicked him. Close fight, but nicked him. This is the one. And this is something, rematched him immediately. When you got a close fight against him, rematched him immediately, and there wasn't no problems in that second fight. Still, I thought the second fight was still close, but he beat him in that one too. This is a guy who basically had Floyd's number in terms of you ain't gonna just outclass me like that. You're gonna be in a close fight with me. That's Castillo, and I think Castillo should be a Hall of Famer. I'm not sure if he is, but he should be. Right? That's the dude you talk about. So Floyd fought him twice. Right? Close fights, beat him both times. Right? After that, he beat Victoriano Zosa, 35-2. Right? This guy had lost to Cotto, but he beat Spadafora. Right? Think about that. And no, I think he lost to Spadafora too. But those are two losses. Pretty good guys. After that, he fought Philip Indeo, 31-1. Right? Nothing notable. This guy was standing in for someone else who I forget who that was. I'm just saying. After that, still at 135, fights DeMarcus Corley. 30, and at that time, DeMarcus Corley was 28-2. Right? 28-2. Now, after Floyd beat him, this dude, man, had a who's who of who he lost to. Seriously, a who's who of who he lost to. This guy lost to everybody. I mean, it's ridiculous who he lost to. Zab Judah. No, he had a split decision loss to Zab Judah before Floyd Mayweather. Right? That's why Floyd Mayweather fought him, because at the time, Zab Judah was like a split decision against Zab Judah, and he beat Randall Bailey. That he was hot at that time, DeMarcus Corley, and that's why Floyd fought him, right? Beat him as well. Then he beat Henry Bruzelis, 21-2, right? And he held the Latino title. That was, okay, probably not a hard look, but one that's, 21-2. It's not nobody's 21 and 10s and stuff like that. And the light touches, those are the light touches, right? Then he moves up again. And remember, he just had moved up to 135 to 130 to 135. Then he moves up to 140 and fights the very formidable Arturo Gatti. Now, I'm not sure if Arturo Gatti is a Hall of Famer, but Arturo Gatti is somebody who everybody knows is going to be in good fights. Everyone knows his legendary fights with Mickey Ward. There's been a movie about those fights with Mickey Ward. He had 2 or 3 of them against him. And to move up here, and he totally demolished Arturo Gatti. Rest in peace. But so I won't go in it. But if you watch that fight and think about Floyd, that was his 3rd weight division. To go up here and do that to Arturo Gatti, I encourage you to watch it. I just won't go in on it that much because the guy has passed. And out of respect, I'm not going to go into that. But that was a very impressive win for Floyd Mayweather, and we'll move on. After that is Shamba Mitchell, who was, I forget what his record was, I think 56-4. And his claim to fame was 2 losses to Costa Jew, who Costa Jew is the man, right, at the time. Costa Jew is all of that from Australia. Costa by way of I think Russia. Bad boy. You got to win against Costa Jew. You something, right? So speaking of Costa Jew, Zab Judah was after his fight with Shamba Mitchell, and he beat Zab Judah, and he went up. Now he had just went up to fight Arturo Gatti. He fought one more fight at 140, then he goes up to 147 to fight Zab Judah. Absolutely incredible, right? Close fight at the beginning. Then he took Vlad Judah. He basically beat him easily. And Zab Judah had lost to Costa Jew, matter of fact, right? But Zab Judah was all that at that division. So he went up there, got another title from Zab Judah. After that Zab Judah fight, stays in 147 to fight Carlos Valdemir, another guy with Zab Judah who could be Hall of Famer. I think they probably both are. And Carlos Valdemir, I ain't gonna talk too much good about him right now because he's in jail right now for molesting his daughter on a lot of occasions. And you know how we are about domestic violence around here. You know what I'm saying? And he's doing a lot of domestic violence. There's the book, Go Get It, Slapped, right, from Doma. Amazon, go pick that up. We read right now. It's about domestic violence. I wrote about it years ago. And Carlos Baldomir, I did a video about that when that happened. But this guy in the ring is something to behold. I'm talking about he was 43-9 at the time, right? He fought Floyd Mayweather. And you'd be like, well, 9, right? 9? Well, let me tell you, from 1998 to 2006, he was on a 21 fight win streak. No loss streak. And in that, he had 2 away draws against undefeated fighters. I'm going to repeat that so you understand. Undefeated fighters, he fights them in their backyards and get draws. You know what that really means on neutral ground. That means he won those. So he was basically 21 fight win streak, right? Defeating Judah, Arturo Gatti, and all that stuff. Carlos Baldomir was all that at the time, and Floyd messing with him was a hard fight to do, right? Think about that. Now, after that, I got Zab Judah and Carlos Baldomir after another. You know who he fights after that? Oscar De La Hoya, another Hall of Famer, who was 38-4 at the time. He goes up. He just went to 147 to fight Zab Judah, went up in weight, and Carlos Baldomir. Instead of going back down to 140, where he's probably more comfortable, goes up to 154 to fight De La Hoya. And De La Hoya's weight, not bring him down like Pacquiao did to 147, where he was drained, 154, with his gloves, his rings, and all of that. And he beat Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya is a Hall of Famer, which means I do not have to elaborate about that, right? Then goes back down to 147 and takes on the undefeated Ricky Hatton, 43-0 at the time. Ricky Hatton beat Costa Jew, which that's it. He beat Costa Jew, beat Castillo, and Collazo at the time. Those are incredible, huge wins, period, right? And Ricky Hatton is probably a Hall of Famer too, if I'm not mistaken. If he ain't, he's sure going to be a British Hall of Famer. But I think he's a Hall of Famer just by those names on his ledger. And he was 43-0 when he lost to Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather beat him, knocked him out around 10 or 11 with a left hook, check left hook, boom, made him hit the side of the ring, right? So he took out Ricky Hatton. So you would think, man, that's awesome. Then he took some time off. And then he comes back and fights the man who was in 2 wars against Manny Pacquiao, split decision, decision of, I think it was a tie, and a split decision loss to Manny Pacquiao, and that's Juan Marquez, right? Now, he fights Marquez. I don't know if Marquez won a round in that fight at all, right? Beat him totally, a whole bunch of separation. And do you know people talk about Floyd Mayweather, that Marquez came up 2 weight divisions to fight Floyd Mayweather? Right? Now, when you do that, normally you would have a rehydration clause or something, right? So the guy that's bigger doesn't gain too much weight. Well, without one, Floyd Mayweather weighed 1 pound more than Marquez on fight night. A pound. And we're talking about he was bigger than Marquez. Now, you got to understand, people talking Mayweather should fight Pacquiao, and that didn't happen. And Marquez had wars with Pacquiao. There's separation and a whole lot of it when he fights Marquez. It's one of his most impressive wins, in my opinion. And just separation, and we talk about a pound, right? And then I'm thinking about things like Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. It's 50 pounds, and we're going for the guy that's 50 pounds heavier. So here's a pound with Floyd Mayweather, and they had the nerve to talk about a pound. You wanted to see if Marquez can hang with Mayweather, seeing as though you thought Pacquiao could beat him. And there was a resounding hell no. So after Marquez, he goes and fights Shane Mosley, and Shane Mosley had just annihilated Margarito, who you know him from the raps and fighting from the hand raps and fighting Cotto and all that stuff. Well, he beat the hell out of Margarito and Mayorga, 2 people that you're not gonna knock out easily. Shane Mosley was just coming off of that against Mayweather. The infamous 2nd round having Mayweather hurt and then not winning a round after that. That's incredible, incredible. So then after he beats Shane Mosley, goes to fight Victor Ortiz, who was just coming off of beating an undefeated Berto. And Lamont Peterson had only lost once. And Lamont Peterson at 140 pounds was something to behold. Lamont Peterson is all that, right? So him and Berto, Victor Ortiz was coming off big wins. Floyd Mayweather got rid of him too. After that, he fights another Hall of Famer, Miguel Cotto, was 37-2 when he fought Mayweather in a comfortable weight. He beats Cotto as well, right? Think about that. Then after Cotto, he fights Robert Guerrero, who's 31, 1-1 at the time with an 8-fight winning streak. He had beat Berto as well, another an undefeated Iden, and he was the WBC interim title. That wasn't no soft look. Roberto Guerrero or Robert Guerrero was all that and a mean dude with mean streak, southpaw. Floyd Mayweather beat him as well. After that, he fights the 42-0 Canelo Alvarez at 152 pounds. Canelo Alvarez wanted to fight and called him out. He beat him every damn round, really. And somebody got the nerve to give that fight a draw. He beat Canelo up. And what was the excuse after that? Because we simply talk about excuses that Deontay Wilder has with a suit. People came out and said, well, he done had experience. He's too young. The dude had 42 fights, and he's too young and inexperienced. Right? Floyd Mayweather, way bigger than Mayweather. Mayweather whitewashed him. After Canelo, he fights Madonna in a fight that people try to call close. Right? Didn't care where Madonna was throwing punches, or what Madonna was doing. I didn't see the fight that close, but it was a close fight when you're talking about Floyd Mayweather. It was one of Mayweather's closest fights, in Mayweather's top 10 closest fights or something like that, because the guy drew the Madonna's throwing punches from anywhere. He was 35-3, and he had just came off of beating that Victor Ortiz and Adrian Broner, who was very formidable at the time, even though Broner was moving up in weight. Broner was smaller than him. People don't want to mention that. It's way smaller than Madonna, but he was talking smack. And Madonna shut his butt up, knocked him down twice. So that's, you're beating a baby Floyd. So that sold that fight with Floyd Mayweather. And Madonna came in throwing punches, but lost. And then Floyd Mayweather, when somebody says it's close, Floyd Mayweather gives you another fight. He beat Madonna twice. Now, after that, he fights Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao is a Hall of Famer. Do we have to even discuss that? Right? Beats Manny Pacquiao convincingly, and people start making excuses and things like that. We had the fight too late. Now, we know about the Manny Pacquiao saga. How is a fighter, if you're not that good, if you're feather-fisted, a fighter don't want to take the fight because you asked for a drug test? And it was going to have 40 million guaranteed at that time. That was 2009. That's ridiculous. You understand what I'm saying? So Floyd was not the reason why that fight didn't happen. Manny Pacquiao just didn't want to take a drug test. Society got upset at Floyd, which is absurd, but there's so many absurd things that happen, especially to fighters of color. That's why Devin Haney's statements right now, that's how he should come, right? Exactly like that. Just be straight up in your face, because that's what they deserve. They constantly do things like this. How are you mad at the guy who will take the drug test, and you're not mad at the guy who won't take the drug test, right? Think about that. And then when they fight, sour grapes, and you start talking about his shoulder, right? But now Deontay Wilder talking about a suit, and it's the worst excuse in history. Typical. We're just mentioning things like that. So after he beating Pacquiao easily, right, which is the fight of the century and all that, taking care of that too. Then his last fight was Berto, and Berto was a two-time champion. He was 30-3 at the time. Floyd Mayweather made him look pedestrian like he always does, and that's what happened there. So, and just to top it off with number 50, after taking a break, coming back and fighting your boy Conor McGregor, who was just a big fight because McGregor was in UFC, he's a big mega star, and he was talking a lot of smack. He was way bigger than Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather came in and played with him, actually. He played with him, kept his hands up, and just was walking him down and things like that, and just basically played with him and beat him when it was time to beat him. But people didn't want to beat him early because, people paid a lot of money. Now, when you look at a career like that, like I said at the beginning, there's a few people in the history that you can go through, but Floyd Mayweather wasn't picking and cherry picking and not fighting people, because my point is, who the hell's left? Are you any undefeated fighters from 130 to 154 that you're talking about? Any undefeated? And, 154, let's make sure this is clear. When it was hard for him to make 154 at one point. I didn't mention this when he was fought Oscar De La Hoya at 154. Do you know what Floyd Mayweather weighed in? He weighed in at 152. He couldn't even get up that high in weight, right? So if you got a couple of 154 pounders that, hey, Mayweather didn't fight him, you probably are talking about when Mayweather was 38 years old. Why should he be doing that at that time anyway? If you 38 years old and you still weighing 147, then 154 is a stretch. You're a small dude. But if you have any guys that's from 130 to 147 that Mayweather didn't fight, right? That were actively trying to fight Mayweather, that deserved it, Don't come with no guy with 5 or 6 losses. That was not worthy of Mayweather's time. All these people in here, have got 2, 3 losses early in his career. And and here's the thing. You just heard it from me if you sat here this long. You've heard it from me. Go look at any of those fights. Watch the lead up. Because a lot of people, you can sit back, hey, Mayweather ain't did nothing. He ain't did. Watch the lead up. Most of these people were very formidable, important people at the time Mayweather fought him. Right? And let me tell you, this is from somebody who wasn't a Mayweather fan the whole time. Right? Now, what when it comes to people that are being in this BTBG and this that beat the black guy in boxing, I will focus on that. Okay, I will focus on that. Right? That's not fair. Mayweather was not treated fairly in a lot of things that went down with him. This is a good guy. All of these fights here, right? If I can compare him to Canelo, Floyd Mayweather wasn't being cheered in these fights. Make sure that's clear too. No one was cheering for him, right? Even at the beginning, once he started stepping up to fight for titles, that's it with the cheering. There was no more cheering. He could fight at home in Vegas and all of that. They're going for the other guy, unless the other guy is a black dude. Then maybe. But at that point, then, when you got 2 blacks, then what you're going to do, you're going to go for the one who's supposed to lose, right? But Floyd Mayweather versus anything that was non-black was getting booed the majority of his career. Matter of fact, way more, all of it damn near. Well, I'm sick of talking about majority to be nice. Why be nice? All of it. And matter of fact, while we there, why you looking? Find something, a black fighter fighting in America against a non-black fighter anywhere except his hometown, and see if the crowd is going for the black fighter. I watched Danny Jacobs. They're going for Golovkin in Dad Jacobs' hometown, right? So that's the point. Any black fighter, not only Mayweather now, while you're doing this, if you stay here this long, find it, because I need to find that just to see if it's possible on American soil. A black fighter fighting a non-black fighter anywhere except for his hometown, right? The other fighter could be from anywhere on the planet. But a black fighter on American soil, a black American fighter on American soil anywhere other than his hometown, and he will be getting booed. Period. Right? That's how that works. So therefore, he was going through that and whooping people's butts and taking names. Whole career, 50-0. You know something? You damn right that he says to himself that he's TBE, the best ever. And you will be hard pressed to find something on this level in the world of boxing. Period. Hell yeah. Floyd Mayweather should be calling himself TBE, and a whole lot of us should be following right behind. Who else is on that level? Doma Sports Talk worldwide, and I'm up out of here, y'all.